In this video, I want to talk about sports betting and particularly baseball, Major League Baseball betting tips. Now, betting on Major League Baseball is different from any other sport. There's 162 games in every season, and it's a long, grueling sport, so you need to adjust your sports betting strategies in order to actually win in Major League Baseball betting. Thankfully, baseball is a statistics-based sport, which means there's lots of statistics and there's a lot of things that we can capitalize on. Okay, I want to start this video by showing the new rules in Major League Baseball in 2023. Okay, so the first new rule is there's a pitch timer. If there's nobody on base, the pitcher has 15 seconds to wind up and pitch the ball. And if there are runners on bases, the pitcher has 20 seconds to wind up and pitch the ball. Now, I think they made that rule so that I could get my money quicker when I'm betting on games, but I'm really not sure on that, so leave a comment down below and let me know if that's the reason. Okay, so the next one is they actually made the bases bigger. The old bases were 15 inches and now they're 18 inches. Now I do want to point out that they didn't change home plate or anything, but just first, second, and third. I think the rule was implemented to prevent injuries from happening, meaning if there was a line drive hit to the shortstop and the shortstop threw it to first base, and there's that little extra added room where the first baseman could tag the base runner and there wouldn't be so many collisions. But I do believe that it has increased teams stealing bases. Let me know in the comments below if you think that teams are stealing more this year. The next one is they changed it so you can't have defensive shifts. And this one is kind of weird to me, really, because you got to have 4 infielders within the infield. They can't be standing on the grass. They got to be on either side of second base, so the shortstop and second base, they got to be on their own side. I believe this was to make the game so there's more hits and everything. So obviously, if you can't defensively position your players, that there's naturally going to be more hits. I don't know. Let me in the comments below. Let me know what you think about that one. But what's next? Are we going to have like robots that can fight and everything for bases?
Yes, sports betting dude. I think that's an excellent idea to have robots. They could fight. They could turn their players into robots. There was a game back in the 80s or 90s. I pretty much wasted my entire childhood on it called Base Wars. Basically, they were robots, and you would fight with like a sword or a gun, and you could win. Like if you were out and you beat the crap out of the first baseman, you were safe. It was an excellent way to make the game more exciting. They could go with that. I firmly believe that that is a very good option.
Honestly, I think that's a great idea. I mean, I don't know why anybody hasn't thought of that. We should definitely let the baseball commissioner know. It's always exciting when bench is clear and everything, but it would add a huge element to the game of Major League Baseball. So now I'm going to show you some actual tips that you can actually use to make more money with Major League Baseball. Okay, so if you're new to my videos, you know that you have to manage your bankroll properly, meaning that you have to start betting in units. And if you have a $1,000 bankroll, with baseball, you want to bet 1% of your bankroll every single time. In other sports, I typically will bet 3 to 5% and sometimes up to 8%. But with baseball, since it's such a long, grueling sport, I like to just do 1% of my bankrolls for my unit size. Now, if you're completely lost on your bankroll management, make sure you check out my video on that because I explain it in full detail. With baseball, you can be very successful with a high volume approach. Meaning I did a video showing mistakes that a lot of sports bettors will make. And one of the big problems was people were betting on way too many games every single day. In this video, I showed people that you wanted to make 3 to 5 bets a day. Since Major League Baseball is such a long, grueling sport and there's typically about 15, 16 games a day, you can actually make 7 to 10 bets per day if you like. Just make sure you're doing your research and not just betting on everything and anything though. Again, so with Major League Baseball, a high volume approach can be an effective approach. One thing that you need to pay attention to when betting on baseball is who the umpires are. Believe it or not, there are stats on umpires. Out of all the jobs you could have, an umpire's got to be the worst though. I mean, fans bitch at you nonstop. Players bitch at you nonstop. I guess there would be one thing that's worse than being an umpire. Having a tapeworm. A tapeworm would really suck. I mean, how do you get rid of tapeworms? Are you supposed to just take some kind of antibiotic and then poop it out? I don't know. Let me know in the comments below. Not that I have a tapeworm. I'm just kind of interested to know. Seriously, I don't have a tapeworm. Okay, so don't make your bets solely based on who's the umpire for that game. However, it is good to note if you are interested in like an over and under or any kind of wager in baseball, you might want to know who the umpire is. I use a completely free resource, statfox.com, and it basically has all kinds of great information on umpires. Here's an example. Spencer Strider might be pitching for the Atlanta Braves, and he might have an umpire that has a big strike zone. That's a huge benefit. You might be considering an over for a game, and if there's an umpire that has a 79% chance of games going over, then it might be worth checking into. I'll put a link in the description for the stat box that I use for checking Major League Baseball games. One thing to keep in mind when betting on Major League Baseball is the weather. There are a couple different aspects of the weather that I'm looking at when I'm betting on Major League Baseball games. What I believe to be the most significant aspect of the weather is the wind. You particularly want to look and see which way the wind is blowing. For instance, is it blowing in or is it blowing out? If the weather is blowing in, it can mean the difference between a low scoring game, which would mean, if a player hits the ball and it's just a lazy fly. And if it's blowing out, that could be a completely different thing. It could be out of the ballpark and you would hit the over more. So there's been some interesting data from Bet Labs since 2005, and basically they check the weather. For instance, 5 mile per hour winds blowing in, they hit under at 55.1%. That means they're lower scoring games. Now, when the wind is blowing out at 8 miles per hour or more, the over hits at 52.9%. Therefore, they're higher scoring games when the wind is blowing out at 8 miles per hour or more. So it might be worth your time to just, if you're considering over and unders, to just check out the weather report, because you can play on some big weather changes where there's 20 mile per hour wind blowing out. I mean, yes, that could possibly be an over game. Next, when the weather is hot, particularly over 90 degrees, that's when you'll see the most highest scoring games statistically. It's been said that every 10 degrees the ball will travel 1% further. Again, a 90-degree plus game equals higher runs. Now, when it's cold and everybody's freezing their nuts off, the ball doesn't travel as far, so it might be lower. Just remember, when your balls get cold, they shrink. When your balls are warm, they get bigger. Over, under, smaller, bigger. Taking the underdogs in Major League Baseball betting can be very profitable. In fact, there are a lot of sports bettors that their main strategy is to pick underdogs. To show you what I'm talking about, I took the 3 best records last year in 2022. The Dodgers were 111 and 51, the Astros were 106 and 56, and the Mets and Braves were both 101 and 61. Keep in mind, these are the very best teams in baseball. So the Dodgers had a 31.4% chance of losing. The Astros had a 34.5% chance of losing. And the Mets and Braves both had a 37.6% chance of losing. Now, if you took an average team at best, 80 and 82, you would have a 49.3% chance of winning. One of the best things about that statistic is that's plus money. So if you were just taking an average team to win straight up, it could be plus 150, it could be plus 200. That means if you put $100 down, you would win 150. If you put $100 down, you'd win 200 on some of those bets. So you don't even need a positive winning percentage to come out ahead in Major League Baseball betting, meaning I could lose 55% of my bets and still show profit with betting on just the underdogs in Major League Baseball. And another strategy, if you wanted to play it more conservatively, you could bet on the spreads, which basically means if that team that's the underdog, if they come within 1 run, you would still win the bet. It isn't going to pay as much, but you have that little extra edge that you could use. Okay, so Bet Labs has actually tracked 1-run games, and they found out that 25 to 30% of games each season were decided by 1 run. So if you are interested in spread betting with Major League Baseball and underdogs, that can actually make you a lot of money. It's important that you shop around for your bets before you place them. What I mean is different sports books are going to have their games priced differently. If you're interested in the Kansas City Royals and Minnesota Twins game, the difference might be 110 to negative 130, which is a huge difference. If you're betting $100 bets, that's $15. So one tool I've been using for years is OddsJam. They have a lot of different tools that help you maximize your sports betting, and you can see what the prices are for different sports books. They integrate with over 140 different sports books, and it will show you what the run lines are. There's a lot of different tools with OddsJam that you can use. You can track your betting history, which is very important to see where you're losing money, where you're making money. They have all kinds of player props tools, just all kinds of sports betting tools. OddsJam really makes it easier for me to maximize my profits from sports betting. And there will be a link in the description so you can check it out for yourself. Okay, so betting on Major League Baseball is one of my favorite sports to bet on. I plan on doing a lot more videos on betting on Major League Baseball. If there's anything you need clarification on, go ahead and leave me a comment down below. Please like and subscribe to my channel. Make sure you check out the links in the description. And I'm out! I gotta go buy some new shoes!